Raheem Morris returned to the podium after the Falcons' bye week, and he was asked about some of the changes the Falcons might make going into the last third of the season. And he highlighted one in particular, and that was play action. Here's what Morris said. It's something that we want to increase, something that we want to do better, something that we want to make more important, more a part of our game. When I heard Morris say that, I audibly said out loud, no effing way. Because before the bye or during the bye week, I highlighted 3 changes I want to see the Falcons make. And surprise, surprise, one of them was return to play action. Because the last couple of weeks, especially in that Broncos 38-6 loss, they ran only 3% of the time. Now, I know when the score gets out of hand, you got to pass it more, and you don't need to mess around with play action. But still, look at the 4 games this season when Atlanta had the lowest play action percentage. 0% in week 1, which is jarring still to think about. 3%, 8%, 10%. 3 out of these 4 games are losses. Now, no, it's not as simple as if you run play action 100% of the time, you are going to win more. But there is a nice balance to be had, and especially when your quarterback is Kirk Cousins, who is, one of the kings of play action. But the Falcons as a team are 32nd in play action percentage this year. Dead last. You don't want to be last in any metric, but they are last in 2 and somewhat important ones, play action and sacks. These are 2 things that are sinking this team. And like I said, Kirk Cousins is the king of play action. The guy is literally 4th amongst all quarterbacks since 2019 in play action attempts. And if he played the entire 2023 season, he'd be ahead of Patrick Mahomes. He'd probably be ahead of Josh Allen. He would only be second to Jared Goff. You signed a quarterback to a $180 million contract, and you are not leaning into his strengths. He is top 5 in a specific niche of the game, and you are dead last in that niche. Make it make sense to me, please. I'm not asking them for them to be first in play action. They don't want to have that philosophy and that kind of scheme offensively. Fine. But then don't sign Kirk Cousins. If that's not what you want to be as an offense, as a DNA, then go a different route offensively. Like, I don't know, drafting Michael Penix, starting him, using that $180 million and signing like Danielle Hunter or a couple other great pass rushers. But if you're going to invest in Kirk Cousins, then invest in him. Don't half-ass it. Don't give him a big contract, and then once he gets to Atlanta, go, by the way, everything you're good at, we're not doing. That seems like a recipe for disaster. So one viewer in particular of this channel, Jay, if you're watching, I know you're the biggest Raheem Morris hater in the world. This is a point for you because this is not making sense to me. Now, before we get on to the rest of today's episode, because we have a lot more ground to cover, I do want to get your score predictions in. After watching the Chargers get semi-manhandled by the Ravens. I don't think the score was as close as the game was. Chargers got a late touchdown. It was basically a 2-score game for much of the second half. How would you predict the Falcons-Chargers score this upcoming week? Let me know in the comment section below. While you are giving me your score prediction, quick word from our friends over at Prize Picks. Our friends at Prize Picks, by the way, call the Peach State home. So go support them because it's the best place to get real money sports action, and they support us here at Chat Sports. Now, all you have to do at Prize Picks is pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Then, for Thanksgiving, they are putting Tyreek Hill's receiving yards at 0.5. They're just giving it to you. Go take it. Pair it with one more. You could double your money. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All of that information is in the comments and description of today's video. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. I want to talk a little bit about the Falcons' upcoming matchup with the Chargers, which will hopefully feature more play action, because after watching the Chargers play on Monday night, I walked away from that game thinking, hey, that's still a good Chargers team, but They're definitely a beatable Chargers team, especially losing at home to, sure, a really good Ravens team. But I'm more confident about this matchup now than I was, say, on Sunday. Because the Chargers, sure, 23-30 looks like a semi-close game, but it didn't really feel all that close once the Ravens kind of woke up. It was Chargers 10-0 to start, and then it was pretty much all Baltimore after that. They would go on a 30-13 run, and 7 of those 13 points came at the very last minute of the game. But one thing that really jumped out to me that I think Atlanta should capitalize on is Baltimore's ground game against the Chargers' run defense. 37 carries, 212 yards, nearly 6 yards a carry. Now, having Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson definitely helps a ton in that regard. But still, for a Harbaugh coach unit, I was a little surprised to see how much the Ravens were dominating at the point of attack. Think about what Harbaugh did so well at Michigan. It was winning in the trenches on the offensive line and on the defensive line. Now, it's only been a couple of months for him in LA, so it's going to take a little bit for all of his guys to come in and for his philosophies and his overall mindset to be implemented onto the field. But this, to me, seems like a major weakness that the Ravens pointed out that Atlanta has to capitalize on. And the good news is Bijan Robinson's having an awesome year. Especially over the last couple of weeks. I know the Broncos game didn't really go to plan, but once it became a little bit of a blowout, it was full-on passing attack from there, and Robinson wasn't going to get a whole lot of touches. But he's got 783 yards. He's averaging nearly 15 more yards a game on the ground. He's doing better in the receiving department than he was last year. Across the board, I think Bijan's having a very, very special year, and I really want to see Atlanta look at that film that the Ravens put out there and capitalize on it. Pour salt on the wound for the Chargers in one of their weaknesses, the run defense on Monday night. Now, speaking of the run game, important injury that came out to monitor is J.K. Dobbins. He was having a really strong year. Talking about what Bijan was doing, Dobbins not far behind, 726 yards, 8 touchdowns. He suffered a knee injury in the game. He did not return, with the Chargers playing on a little bit of a short week. May not bode well for him to be available on Sunday on a road trip, so keep an eye on this, but that would definitely be a bit of a break for Atlanta. Now, a fun stat that we highlighted on yesterday's episode, but in case you missed it, this is somewhat of a rare setup here, which is you've got the Falcons coming off a bye week, playing a team that just played on Monday night. So I can't think of a bigger rest disparity than a team that's been off for a week against a team that's playing on a short week. But it's actually happened twice this year. Now, the team that played on the short week, the team that was at the disadvantage, is 1-1. But the one win was the Dolphins beating the Raiders. And in fact, since 2019, and I went back to 2019 to get a good sample size of this, 7-1 is the record for teams that play on a short week against teams that are coming off a bye. But of those 7 wins, 3 of them came against the Raiders. So as long as you are better than the Raiders, you're going to have a pretty good chance of beating a team that's coming off 6 days of rest versus a team coming off a whole week of extra rest. So if you are ready for a Falcons win on Sunday at home, their first home game in 4 weeks, show me by hitting that thumbs up button. I want to get 500 likes on this video because I feel like with the 2-game losing streak right now, the bye week coming at a good time, but also just kind of killing a little bit of interest in the team with the losing streak following before that. I want to show that this team has still got some swagger right now, so hit that thumbs up button down below. Now, we also crossed a very, very big milestone, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who helped us reach 30,000 subscribers. Just want to highlight a couple of names that I saw recently subscribe to the channel. Daniel Lee, Brendan, Ron, don't want to meet Ron's rest of his family, John, Ben, Luis, Joseph White, Chelsea fan, DJ, Harris Gang, love the profile picture. Thank you guys so much for subscribing, and for everyone that subscribed to the channel, you guys made the best decision of your life, and if you have not subscribed to the channel, you have made the worst decision of your life.